Hi, today I'm going to tell you a story which is going to blow your mind. It's a real incident which happened with me few days back. It's a once in a lifetime event which happens in decades, and it was a very special story for me. I met a shopkeeper, of course I'm going to tell in detail, but this shopkeeper I felt had much more knowledge when looked at any of the fund manager, portfolio manager, or financial advisor. So let me tell you about the story. Now, this happened few days back when a client of mine called me and he said that I should meet a friend of his from his school days who has a business in Kalba Devi. Kalba Devi is a place in Mumbai. It's where you have all the wholesale shops of goods. It's a huge market with a turnover of billions of dollars. It's similar to what you have like Sadar Bazaar in Delhi or a new market in Kolkata. So when client told me about this new lead from Kalba Devi, I was becoming slightly judgmental. I was thinking that these are typical business owners who generate a lot of cash, and because of which they end up putting money in the real estate. Trust me, they have tons of monies. All these business owners, they may have 20, 50, 100 crores, but most of them gets generated in cash. So when my client told me that I should go and meet his friend, I was slightly skeptical, but my client also told me that I should definitely go to meet him because he's an amazing person. So one of the days I called this person and fixed up a meeting, and he said that why don't you come over whenever you're on this side of the town, and I fixed up on one of the weekdays. So when I went to meet him, I was all suit and decked, and generally I wear that for the meetings. I went to the Kalva Devi. I have not been to that part of the city very often, and it was a new experience for me. When I went, it was a typical market, lot of activity, lot of buzzing. And this gentleman had a shop of textiles. He was into import, export of textiles. It was a small shop. And in front, there was some staff at the counter. And my client, my new lead, was sitting at the back. There was a cabin where he was seated. It was a very simple place. It was, of course, had an air condition, but when I went there to meet him, I found him to be very simple person and simply dressed. He was a Marwadi person. His office was very basic. So we started talking about what about the background, what he has been doing. I started doing discovery of his profile. He gave me some idea. He told me that this is the third generation business. The business was started by his grandfather, and he has been successfully running this business. And he also told me that they're very simple people, and they believe in working and also spending time with family, take care of health, and they don't have a lot of requirements. The monthly expenses were 1 or 2 lakhs, so it was not much. Of course, they had good income, and he was a very, very satisfied and contented person. I also thought that the guy may not have a lot of money, and whatever money he may have, he may be investing in real estate due to cash. Now, here's what interesting thing happens. He also starts talking about my family. Generally, clients don't ask a lot about the family in the first meeting, but he was very curious to know about my kids, my family, my background, where I come from, and that was interesting discussion we had. And then I started telling about my company, what I do, how I can help him. And when I was telling him, he said, Mukesh bhai, ye sab chodo, kya khaoge? You want to have some tea, and there is a special samosa shop, and he ordered some samosa and good tea for me. Generally I avoid eating samosa, but they were very tempting, and I ended up having the full samosa over there. And let me tell you, it was one of the best samosas I had. And with the food, we started again discussing, and he said, ye sab chodo, ye sab to chalta rahega, investments are fine. Then I thought I need to tell him more about the developments of the economy. I started talking about Trump tariffs, how it is impacting the markets, and I started giving all the gyan. And after listening to me, of course, he was very curious. He was listening to me the whole time. He asked me a simple, important question. He said me, Mukesh bhai, tell me, does this really matter if the portfolio is for 20 years? Now, this blew my mind. I knew that I'm talking to an intelligent investor, and this question really means something. So I got curious. I asked him, "Sir, have you been investing in markets for a long time?" "Yeah." And he said, "Yes, I have been investing for almost 15, 20 years now." And I got further curious. I asked him, "Sir, can I have a look at your portfolio?" Initially, he was skeptical, but he said that, "Of course, I'll show you, but keep it to yourself and don't share it with anyone." I said, "Okay." He took out a simple statement. And over there were 4 line entries, 4 equity mutual funds. And when I looked at the portfolio value, it blew my mind. The portfolio value was 34 crores. Yes, my friends, the portfolio value was 34 crores. And out of 34 crores, 27 crores was profit. Holding days were more than 20 years, and there were only 4 schemes which he was holding in the portfolio. One was Nippon Growth Fund, the second was HDFC FlexiCap, third was your Franklin FlexiCap, and fourth was ICICI Value Discovery Fund. 4 funds, holding period of 20 years, phenomenal profit. I had never ever seen this kind of portfolio in my life. Generally, when I meet clients, they have investments all over. The time horizon of holding is very small, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. But this was something very, very surprising. So I asked him, "Sir, kaise kiya ye? How did you do it? This kind of thing. Tell me the secret. How did you, create so much of phenomenal wealth?" So he explained me his story. He said, "Mukesh bhai, someone like you came to me almost 20 years back. It was around 2004 or 2005. And he explained me the concept of SIP, systematic investment plan, that you do on a monthly basis from your bank account, and money goes into an equity fund, it gets deducted." And the client told me that I really loved the concept, and it was a good way to channelize savings into investments. And he said, I started investing, and the advisor recommended him 4 schemes, and he invested in the same schemes the equal amount, 1 lakh, and he started doing SIP. And he also told me something very interesting, that initially he started with 1 lakh, and every year as his income was going up, he was increasing the SIP amount on an average 10%. Some years it was 15%, some years it was 5%, but on an average, he was increasing the SIP amount by 10% because his income level was also changing and his saving rate was also going up. And then he told me, "Mukesh bhai, I have not sold anything. I still continue to do my SIPs, still continue to increase my SIP or do step up every year. And last 20 years, these are the 4 schemes I have. I don't have any shares, I don't have any PMS, I don't have any app, nothing. And I hardly check my portfolio." And he was telling me, "I check my portfolio maybe once a quarter or maybe half yearly, and it really doesn't excite him." So this was really mind-blowing, friends. And what I felt is that what he told me, it sounds very simple, but in my 20 years of career, I have been meeting a lot of portfolio managers, investments guru, people who have created phenomenal wealth. What he told me is mind-blowing. I think he beats all of them by big margin. And I think for us, not just for you, even for me, it was a phenomenal experience, in which I had, the discussion which I had with the client, and what he showed in that small conversation, the meeting I had. I think all the investment gyan was there. If we look at the investment gyan, one, what we can take away, in fact, we can learn from him. So first is you do SIP. I think we all know about SIP, and it's a phenomenal strategy of channelizing savings into investments. It's a beautiful way of starting small and making it big. Second thing, which I think most of the people miss on, is that of increasing the SIP amount every month by, not every month, every year by 10%, 15% or 5%, depending on the income level change. Because your salaries gets increased, businesses goes up, because India is a growing economy. So doing a step up SIP, I think, is something very powerful. Third is the time horizon of 20 years. So this client has made significant profit because he has been investing for 20 years. Now this is the kind of patience which is required, which doesn't generally come so easily, because we end up churning portfolio very fast. We end up expecting return after investing. Even for 6 months we want quick returns, which may or may not happen. So having a long time horizon is something which is very important. Fourth, keeping the portfolio simple. You don't need a lot of schemes, you don't need a lot of shares, you don't need a lot of PMS or complicated products. Keep simple investments which you understand, and I think that should solve a lot of problems. In fact, the number of schemes should be even less. Fifth, not getting panicked when schemes are underperforming. So this person told me about the schemes, all the 4 schemes. I know about the performance. I know that ICICI Discovery has gone through a bad patch, a lot of time in between. It was a big underperformer. Same goes with HDFC, but he did not sell. He did not panic. So that is something which is very, very important. And the last, which we can learn from him, is that not to look at your portfolio on a daily basis. Now, our clients are mobile, everyone has a mobile, portfolio is visible in mobile. Clients end up seeing the portfolio every day, not just every day, maybe twice or thrice in a single day. In fact, forgetting it is the best thing you can do. So I'll also tell you interesting bit what happened at the end of the meeting. So after looking at the portfolio, he asked me, Mukesh bhai, now what's your advice? What should I do? What changes do you recommend? I told him, sir, कोई change नहीं चाहिए. आपको you're doing perfectly fine, and मैंने in fact आपसे सीखा है, and I don't think you need a financial advisor. What you are doing is super, and I was very thankful to him. And then he was slightly amazed कि कुछ बोल नहीं रहा. Then he said, नहीं मुकेश भाई कुछ काम करना है, कुछ आप बताओ, नया कुछ बताओ. Then of course we discussed about global diversification by putting money in US, emerging, and I also recommended him adding commodities like gold and silver to diversify the portfolio. And he said, आपके साथ काम करना. Even I am, in fact, more than him, I was super excited, and I hope the relationship continues for a very long time. But why I made this video is simple. There's so much to learn from simple people around us. The investment strategies don't have to be complicated. You don't need big portfolio managers, big investment gurus to make a lot of money. It's more about keeping it simple. So that's what we need to learn from this gentleman, and maybe someday I'll bring him to my show and you can then learn a lot from him. Thank you so much.